Here we're going to be talking about yonis, but not any type of yoni. It's more behind the bedrooms and when you're scared. Welcome to Cindy V. King, a TV show, relationship and expert in the area of dating and relationships for executives and high achievers. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe and like my videos and share as well. So it's a really exciting time to do that. And today I have a really special guest, and his name is Dr. Arjun Pai. And he's an expert in Nakshatra. So that's in Vedic Astrology that I practice. So Dr. Arjun Pai is a sales and marketing strategist by profession, and he holds a PhD in the UK. He started learning astrology, Vedic astrology independently. However, since 2018, Dr. Arjun Pai is interested in Vedic astrology. He reignites in intense ways, so he's actually researching details in ancient scripts and testing to have a better understanding of the divine science. And he enjoys the study, research, and techniques in Nakshatra based on astrology. And he is actually a co-founder as a Cosmic Insight, and that's the most comprehensive, life-changing Vedic astrology app. And the app is so beautiful. So I want to welcome Dr. Arjun Pai to my show. All right, everyone. So this is Dr. Arjun Pai. I'm so excited for him to be here. We're going to be talking about yonis, but not any type of yoni. It's more behind the bedrooms and when you're scared.
Namaste. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Yeah. So this is great, Cindy. When you said we want to do something on, the yonis, and I've been researching on, nakshatras, which are lunar mansions in astrology. And I was looking at the different traits of how, when you say a yoni, okay, in Sanskrit, yoni actually means a female reproductive organ or a private part. But it's not only about, when you talk about yoni, it's not only about the female, it also has the male and the female. And when you go deeper into understanding them, you will see that there are certain compatibilities that you see with certain animal types, and that's something that intrigues me. And also, when you go deeper and understand the traits of certain animals, and at certain instances, we tend to behave like these animals. These animal spirits that I would say, or these animal totems. So it's very interesting to see that certain things would influence our life so much. And when you talk about love, it also, you need to know that I know this is not an astrological channel, but I want to just talk very little about. I think everybody will understand and appreciate how the orb of Venus, which is called both as a morning star and also as an evening star. Okay, so this is something connected to a great warrior called as Ushna. Okay, Ushna means a lot of heat in the body, the sexual heat in the body. You know what it's called? That's called Ushna. Or Ushna was also a reference given to the king of the gods in the Hindu pantheon gods, and his name is Indra. What is Indra? Indra means somebody who can control your indriyas. Indriyas are all your senses, your karmendriyas and your gyanendriyas. What is karmendriyas? For many of the viewers, they might not be familiar with these terminologies. Indriyas means all the senses, the sense organs in your body. Because whenever we talk about compatibility and sexuality and everything, you need to be completely connected with the other individual. Not only, and you have to be involved with all your indriyas, which means whether your sight, your smell, your hearing, your touch, All of this, is a part and parcel when you go into a sexual union. So Indra becomes the lord of, or he's called as Ushna, and he becomes the lord of the Indriyas. And when I say karmendriyas, is what are your karmas, or your karma phala, which means what are your fruits of your karmas? Why do you get attracted to somebody? And why does that attraction translate into later on into love and acceptance, awareness, you know so all of this is the karmendriyas. It's usually you get karmically attached to certain kind of people who resonate with a certain frequency. And then you have the jnanendriyas, which means the knowledge that you have, which is their residual, which we call as samskaras. It's the past, it's the present consciousness of your past perceptions. It's a faculty of your memory. So your mind is very much involved in this process for this body to enjoy it. So the orb of the Venus is Ushna, as I said, and this is the enchanting orb of Venus. That's the morning star. That's the Ushna, which is the reference to Indra, I said. And the enchanting orb of Venus, where it operates as an evening star, is allocated to his consort, and his consort's name is Sachi. Sachi means, which translates as white. Okay, that is one part of her. The other part of her is a consort of the Cupid, which is called as Kamadev, and her name is Rati, the goddess of love. Goddess of love is called as Rati. Okay, and Kamadev means who invokes this feeling. So we definitely need Venus to have a very important role to play in your life, and this Venus will have, will experience the love that you go through. It's the compassion that you want to show, and then you want to have the fiery orb of Mars, which is allocated to Kamadev himself, which is the god of love. So this is both Mars and Venus are supposed to be very important. They play a very important role in relationships, and especially when people want to look at their charts, look at Venus, what nakshatra it is placed in, right? And why do we think that we are certain times we behave in a certain manner? So that is very interesting to see that we have a certain animal totem. And I also have been researching on looking at some of the Chinese, animal spirits and animal totems, or sacred spirits, as you say. And when I went into Chinese astrology and I started applying some of the bits of Chinese astrology that I don't know Chinese astrology, but I was just trying to use them. And I found that at certain times of the day, certain yonis or certain animal instincts would be very strong. And if you have certain planets, then they become even more stronger, Cindy. For example, there are the rat types. The rats are active typically between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. because that's the time when the rats are actively looking for food. And this will always be the time when two nakshatras, which is Magha and Puru Falguni natives, tend to be very active during the day. That's when you find that maybe you get into, when you have a Magha type or you have Puru Falguni type, you go into wanting to go and having, bed pleasures with your partner. That's when you feel the intensity is more.
I totally agree, because I was in love with a Maga, and I'm Chitra.
Oh, okay. So you're a tiger then.
Yeah, I'm a tiger. I'm also a tiger in Chinese too.
All right. Okay.
So it's tiger, also Chitra in Vedic as well, and tiger in Chinese. And then my partner is Maga, so he's a mouse. So he's very active between that time period, which is very interesting that you made a point of that.
So Cindy, when you go deeper into understanding all these sciences, when you use Chinese astrology as well, but you need to know the underlying basis of why the Chinese must have said this. And then you see they have observed the animals. So when you have these animal spirits within you, you tend to bring out these qualities. And if you're not into, I would also say these maga types and these rat types people, they would always go sneaking into the refrigerator to see what they can eat during that time. They sneak out to see what they can munch silently. They dig their head in the refrigerator. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they also play tricks too.
Yeah, tricks as well. Like the rats do. So it's absolutely fascinating when you actually go and see these small traits play out, and how these yonis. And for example, let's take another example, like let's say a lion. Okay. So what is lion is associated with? You need to know the underlying basis of the yoni as well. So the lion is associated with pride, valor, leadership, and respect. And so when you see that, the male energy of this line is associated with Puru Bhadrapada, and the female energy is associated with Dhanishta Nakshatra. Okay, so what you need to understand is there are certain traits also of these animals specifically. Like the lion. The lion is usually very lazy. It it sleeps most time of the day, and it's actually the lioness which goes for the hunt. Unless there is a big kill, okay, the lion will never be involved. It's most of the time it's lazing around. Okay, and there are certain little observations that you can see. A lion's roar can be heard as far as 5 miles away. So you can see these people might have, uh, you know, a big roar that they have. So what I wanted to tell you is, whenever you look at sexuality, also look at the compatibility also, because there are certain animal spirits that you might not be compatible with, right? For example, a cat and a rat, they don't get along with, do they, in real life? No. So a bull and a tiger, a lion and an elephant. So they really define what your inner feeling is, and that also would show up on how you play this on the bed as well. So how compatible are you? So there's so deep underlying secrets that when you go into sexual astrology, that might be a lot more defined. But what does that define? It's largely the Venus and the Mars. And let me also tell you something, Cindy, is you need to understand that, okay, although I know that your channel is not purely based on Vedic astrology, but I just want to make a point here. Maybe people will understand what it really means. Is if you understand Vedic astrology talks about Venus being exalted, which means it's in a very elevated state. It's resonating at a very high frequency when it is exalted, and it's in Pisces. Pisces is said to be its deep exaltation state, especially at around 27 degrees, 27, 28 degrees. So that's the exaltation point. But it's the same sign, Pisces, which is the natural 12th house, is where you have your Mercury debilitates in. So you need to understand how these planets operate. What is Mercury? Mercury is intellect. Mercury is buddhi. Mercury gives you the way to discern things, right? So when Mercury goes into debilitation, okay, that's when Venus is exalted. That's the point. So what does it mean? And the natural 12th house is all about bed pleasures. So which means when you are with your partner on the bed, and when you're picking up, your buddhi doesn't work, which means your intellect doesn't work. You have to let go of your intellect. So and you don't think at that moment when you're with your partner, do you? So that was the same trick that most of the people in the Secret Service used to use. You had these secret agents, service agents, and then we used to send these spy agents who used to go and sleep around with these men. because they can, whenever you're sleeping with these people, you can extract the information, because otherwise they will never let you know who they are. When the buddhi doesn't work and Venus is exalted, that's exactly when you reveal all your secrets.
So alcohol counts as well? Alcohol and
Absolutely.
drugs
Yes.
and things
Drugs
like
and
that?
all the things. Yeah.
Okay.
So you see the same thing, and many people who feel they don't have an active, romantic life or a sexual life is because they think too much. That means when Mercury becomes exalted, Venus becomes debilitated in Virgo. So when you overanalyze things, when you think a lot, that's when your sexual life is not very active. So sometimes you need to let go of these things. You need to not think too much, not overanalyze things. So yeah, that is very much about Yoni. I can talk a lot, but you asked me, is there something specifically that you want to know about Yoni for your audience?
Yeah, so there's Kuta compatibility. There's the 4 points. What happened if you are matched up with somebody that you're not compatible, what you were saying earlier before? What happened in the relationship? Because we can tell based on Vedic astrology, we can look at the compatibility. We know that the score out of 4 points, and if they get 0, 4 is amazing. You are so compatible. You're with that person, you will have an amazing sex life and everything will be great. What about the people in between? What about number 3? What about number 2? What about 0? What happened to the relationship? Could it still make it work?
Yeah. So Cindy, that's called as Ashtakuta method, which is the 8-point matching method, which is used by the astrologers in India. And I've not done too much of research in it, but I'll tell you the background of this matching. So essentially, there are different points given to this matching. So there are totally 36 points which are given to this whole system, out of which 15 points come from the Rashis, which is the zodiac signs, and their compatibility between you and your partner with the zodiac signs. So certain zodiac signs, will be not, matching with other zodiac signs. So based on the zodiac signs and the traits of the zodiac signs, there are 15 points which come, and 21 points come from the nakshatras. So that makes it, totally 36 points. Generally, when you look at compatibility, Cindy, what the Indian astrologers say is, you need to have a minimum of, over 18 points if you want to go for a good compatibility, which is, more than half. 36 is the number, so you need to have more than 50% of compatibility. But what I've seen is generally if the compatibility is more than 24 or 25 points, that seems to be a very good match. 28 seems to be a very good match. But you don't want that a lot of things are matching and they're aligned, and people say, oh, I'm almost 35 or 36. That's very rare to find that level of compatibility. But you don't want to have too much of compatibility also. Let me explain that to you, Cindy. You know why? It's because then you will not be able to play a role in a partner's life, and vice versa, of improving each other. Because if you have certain flaws in you, your partner will also have those flaws. Imagine if your partner is a little bit lazy and you're very active, so that balances it. But imagine if both of them are lazy, what are you going to do? Are you going to be lying on the bed all day? Who's going to go and work? Who's going to bring the food on the table? So sometimes you need to have a little bit of, so that somebody will play, one of the partners will always, if it's your weakness, that will be their strength, and if it's their strength, and it will be your weakness, whatever, whichever way. So in that method of matching, this Yoni gets only 4 points. Okay, the highest points are given in that system to the Nadi. Nadi means the pulse. 8 points which are given to that, right? So that's almost 1/5. Okay, or rather, what is it? 1/4. Sorry, 25% of the thing is given to nadi. Nadi means your pulse. So you don't. Many of them say, there might be a mismatch within the yoni also if you get a 0 score or something. There might not be a mental. You see, in Indian astrology, mostly they look at the moon and they match the moon, right? That's only talking about how are you mentally compatible with your partner. But imagine what about the physical thing? You definitely have to look at the Venus as well. Many of them don't look at it, but I would look at it. I would also look at the ascendant and the matching of the ascendant because that's your lagna, that's your body. Okay, so you make this compatibility analysis, but as I say, when you get a lower score, that doesn't mean that you completely don't have a sexual life. You might still have a sexual life, but it might not be very exciting. But there were other things which give you the score, which push you up, which means the marriage will still be intact. Because why they say nadi is important is because the pulse is very important. When there are two different people with the same pulses come together, then the offsprings, would not be genetically not be very strong. That's why they say it's very important from a procreation perspective. You need to have the nadi to be different. But you'll still find nadi dosh, which means people having the same nadi. That doesn't mean that they have not had a healthy relationship. So, they might have offsprings and all of that. But if you see the total score. You see how much are you faring in overall.
It's totally
Okay?
true. It's totally true. And I find it what was really helpful learning about Nakshatra in general and understanding the Yoni is when the couple fight and their animal really comes out. Like the Maga plays tricks, they
Yes.
will play tricks and they will cause problems, right?
Yes.
Or Alicia is another one, the snake.
Ashley, she's snake.
Yes,
Yes.
it will be another issue as well. So I kind of want to hear about what's your experience based on your research when
Yep.
when does the animal really come out? Not only behind the bedroom, but I also find it in arguments, how they fight and how they play tricks. And what's your favorite one that really plays a really good tricks?
I think the most favorite one which I see which loves to play tricks is the monkey type, which is now you have Purvashara and you have the Shravana type. They call as Vanar. Vanar means the one who tries to play. It's a prankster. You know. They love to play. Have a because when you look at the Vanar, what is the monkey? The monkey is associated with playfulness, changeability, and sometimes lack of seriousness as well. You see, these two types, they always want to be lusty, they love sweet meat, they have a very restless nature, but they also might be having an affinity to children. If they have children, they would be taking very care. Look at the monkeys, how they take care of the children. And monkeys also have a very unique way, of grooming each other. Look at them; they sit and they groom each other. They remove lice from the other. So you might love, all of this in the play. Whenever you feel you're a monkey type, you'd find that you enjoy that. And look at the serpent type. The serpent types are, the serpents usually are Rohini and Mragashira, but you can also take Ashlesha because Ashlesha, although it is a cat, Ashlesha is that energy which can really. Have you looked at the cats, how they walk as well? They say catwalk, You see these people, the cats will always love to walk. I've seen many people who love to cross their legs and walk. And they're elegant. They can't care about other people. But Ashleshas are, you can see the serpentine energy as well. What are the traits you see whenever you're fighting with each other? One thing you need to know is what triggers the other person. What triggers a monkey? When you go too closely and you mimic the monkey, the monkey gets irritated. Many people, whenever you go with the camera very close to the monkey gets irritated and smashes the camera. So maybe these Purvashara people don't like to be clicked. They don't like, proximity. When somebody comes too close to them to take a picture or to, well, they might not like the proximity, but they like the playfulness. Okay. Also remember, Cindy, most of the arguments that happen in relationships is because of there's a disagreement in the breath, the breathing. Because you're breathing from the same nostril. All arguments can stop if somebody can actually, keep quiet. One person has to actually keep quiet and change the breathing. And then you see the partner suddenly becomes very calm. And this is, why do you go into this heated arguments, even with when you're animal types? Imagine if you are a lion and you have an elephant type, your partner. The elephants like to hog the space, Even on the bed, they might be taking a lot of space. They need a lot of space. That's the Bharani types or the Revati types. When they're walking, they would walk in the middle of the road. They will not let anybody. That's why you see a lot of traffic jams, is because there's a huge truck which is blocking the space and you can't, and that's why you see a lot of pile up or pile on sometimes when accidents have happened. It's usually because of an elephant type of. So elephants like to have that, but elephants have a very keen memory. So never take up an argument with somebody who's an elephant type, because what they do is they always bring back some memories of the past. They will say, "Oh, that's what your mom told me, when I was getting married. That's what your sister did this to me," and they all remember. Even 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, they will use the same thing wherever the argument happens, and they will bring that up because they remember things. Then you have the serpents. The serpents, whenever you are arguing with them, always remember the serpents like a little bit of praise, or you give them compliments, especially a Rohini, which is a serpent. They love to wear mascaras, kajal, eyeliners. They like to have contact lenses. They like to have a little bit of what do you call that? Is it called rose or
Blush.
the blush or whatever?
Yeah.
The blush. Yeah.
Yes.
They like wearing the blush because Rohini means the reddish lady. So they like to dress up very unique. The serpents, because they shed their skin as well, isn't it? I've seen that many Ashlesha people usually like to shed their clothes because that's expression of the body. They feel more comfortable. You see models, you see people who are. It's not about anything to do. It's just that they feel more comfortable because the serpents like the warmth of the land. So we find most of the serpent people who lie on the floor, or you see their photo shoots as well. Mostly they're lying down like a serpent, and then the way they are. So it's very sensual. It's very uh, when you look at their expressions as well, you see very enigmatic, very charismatic, very hypnotic. The eyes, especially the eyes. Don't lock your eyes with the serpents. They will hypnotize you. And especially the Rohinis, they can kill you with their smile.
Oh no, be careful with elephants and snakes.
Snakes.
This is really good information. I would love to hear more about other animals that you have done research on this area.
Yeah. No, this will be, the more you go deeper into Cindy, you will realize we are nothing but, because if you look at our DNA as well, our DNA has these influences of all these different animals. Okay? And when you look at Vedic, you also see that, okay, people say, oh, you worship so many deities. You worship the monkey god, which is Hanuman. You worship the elephant god, which is Ganesh, and all of this. What are we trying to do when we are worshiping, or when you're praying, or when you're invoking the energies of that animal spirit within you? Because look at the elephant. What is the elephant? Have you seen a mad elephant? What does it do when it goes mad? And this refers to also people in relationships as well. So you have to know the traits of when Okay, the
It starts to
elephants when
gang
they
up. It starts to gang
yes,
up, and they have a tribe. So the
yes,
minute you
and they
attack one,
attack.
they attack.
Yeah, they attack, and then what they do is they pull down everything which comes in their path. Everything. A tree comes, they will pull down the tree, the branches of the tree. They will start destroying things as they run, and they were never going to change. And even if you see in a chessboard, in the game of chess, the rook or the elephant always moves in straight lines. It cannot move. If you see the real elephant, it has to march forward because it's such a big animal. So that's why they say if a mad elephant is chasing you, always run zigzag because the elephant gets confused because it cannot change track. So if you're running straight, it'll come and run you over and smash you. So always run zigzag. So what is the elephant? So whenever the elephant gets it invokes this, it starts destroying, and that's why what we do in Indian thing, we pray to Lord Ganesh or the Lord Ganapati, is because he is the destroyer of obstacles which come on our path. And we are invoking that energy within us, trying to say, Lord, we have obstacles, but we need to overcome this. So whatever obstacles come, we can't stop the obstacles, but if you can overcome those obstacles by smashing those obstacles which come in your way, like the elephant does. So when we invoke these animal instincts within us, then you behave even in a sexual manner. Even the aggression is shown of your animal in your real life. Okay, then you need to know how to pacify. Especially with elephants, the ear is very important. For people who get a little bit, so this is the very sensitive part for people who are elephant type. Because this, what they do, how can they pacify the elephant? It seems very weird, but if you go to Thailand, if you go to India and different parts of Southeast Asia, in these countries where the elephants are more, there is somebody called as a mahu, somebody who controls the elephant or who is the rider of the elephant. And usually he has a sharp object in his hand and he pierces it into the ear of the elephant. And when they pierce it, because of the pain, the elephant then starts pacifying and then coming on the path. It will never, that's what called the mahut and the ankush. The ankush is been put. Sometimes for these people, a painful experience can bring them on the right path. Sometimes in a relationship, they go to a painful experience, but then they realize that, okay, this is what I did. This was a mistake that I did. For the elephant type. So that is what it is like. If you see the Ankush, have you seen the symbol of Saturn? That's exactly how the Ankush looks like. The symbol of Saturn.
That is
So,
true.
and for all humans, the Saturn is the Ankush. We all fear the Saturn. Why do you feel the Saturn? We say, oh, it's a Saturn return. It's Sati Sati. It's 7.5 years of Saturn for me. It's because it puts some sort of a stop. And it says, hey man, you've been running helter-skelter now. Now be organized, be more disciplined, be more structured in life. So Saturn wants you to come back on the track. So when you feel that you're like an elephant, then Saturn can only control you. The Saturn is the mahut. Saturn is the rider of the elephant who actually pins you down and says, now you be slow. Don't run. Be very slow. Then you become majestic. Then you are like an elephant, walking very slow, taking things easy.
That's really well said. It's if anybody is an elephant, there's a way that you can control your partner right there.
Absolutely.
Right?
You need to know that sometimes you need to slow down in life.
Yeah.
So imagine if your partner is an elephant type and you are like a deer.
Yeah.